Hello to the most wonderful people on the face of this planet. To all the people in Ledbetter, welcome to what is the substitute service for Soul Cafe this Sunday as we move toward the wonderful victorious Sunday of Easter. I do have a question to ask you. Do you have a list of things that you haven't yet finished? I used to keep a list like that, but it became so embarrassing that I threw it in the trash. And if anybody out there is like me, please encourage me by sending me some sort of word that you struggle in the same way with getting things finished. In light of that, however, I want to reflect on the words of Jesus from the cross. The four different Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John looked back at the cross, and each of them remembered in certain ways what Jesus said. The final tally of that is that there are 7 things that people remember that Jesus said in the final hours that he lived. And the one that we look at today is the second to the last thing that's recorded in the Gospels. Here's what Jesus says. He says it briefly. He says it without a lot of emphasis. I hear it as a very softly spoken word, but it is a word of great soul satisfaction for Jesus. Hear the words. It is finished. Jesus didn't even have enough breath or energy to say a whole lot more, but it expresses a whole lifetime of what Jesus did. There are a lot of ways that we might think about what that means, that Jesus said, it's finished. What's finished? He didn't say, I am finished, as though somehow the disappointment, it's all over with, it didn't count, I didn't count, I must have dropped the ball somehow, I'm finished, it's all over. There's something else in that word. In fact, the word that is used is teleo. That may not be of that much insight for you, except that it means to come to a place of completion. You would use this word teleo if you had planned a trip to climb Mount Everest, and all the preparation and all of the getting ready, and then you take your first step, and finally, after days and days and days of climbing, you get to the top. That's when you use the word teleo. Or maybe something much more simple. Maybe you're baking bread and you stir in the ingredients and you get everything ready. You let it rise, you punch it down, you let it rise again, you put it in the oven, you set the timer, and the timer goes off, ding, and you would say, it's finished. It means to come to a meaningful resolution. It means to get where you were intended to go, teleo. In fact, there's another thing about that word. It's spoken of in a tense that it's not just past tense, but it's like it started in the past, but it is all the way to the present. It's being done, but now we've come to a kind of a fullness of time. Everything is fallen together, and it is finished. Here's what I think it means for Jesus. It means that at some point in his life, he grew in his consciousness about the calling of God, about what God wanted him to do, what his heavenly Father asked him to do. Did you remember that time when Jesus was about 12 years old and he got left behind in Jerusalem when his parents had gone there for a special celebration? They had traveled a day or so, And then all of a sudden they missed Jesus. They went back and found him in the temple. And what Jesus said at 12 years old, he said, don't you know that I must be about my Father's business? Maybe very young, he began to be conscious of his own calling and his own destiny, what God had wanted him to do. And even at 12, he was ready to do that. Or maybe it was at his baptism when it says that the heavens just opened up and the Spirit of God descended upon him as though it were in the form of a dove, and a voice from heaven spoke and said, "This is my boy, this is my son, and I'm so pleased with him." Maybe that's when Jesus became very, very conscious of his ministry, his calling, his duty. Or maybe it was gently, gradually, day after day, as he completed one particular task on the way to another, that he comes to this idea about, hey, I'm doing what God wants me to do. Every word, every action was a step in the direction of his whole life. And now on the cross, with very, very little energy left, with a way of only drawing in short bursts of breath, Jesus finally is able to say, close to the very, very end, it's finished. It's done. Maybe in his own mind he's saying, Father, what you told me to say, I said it. And what you asked me to do, I did it. Remember, Father, when I said to that man, take up your bed and walk. You told me to say it. And I did. Remember when you told me, in the presence of a woman that was still on her knees in the dust, you told me to say, neither do I condemn you. Go your way and sin no more. I said it. I did what you told me to do. I said what you told me to say. And it's finished. I've done it. It's through. I wonder if that's not a way for us to say, that'd be a pretty good way to live life. To discover what you're really called to do. Out of your talents, maybe. Out of your aptitudes. Out of your abilities. God called you and says, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to be the best baker in the world. Or I want you to be the best teacher in the world. Or I'm calling you. I want you to be the best carer in the world. What are your aptitudes and talents that Jesus may be calling? What a wonderful thing to take those and bring them to life and say, God, these are yours, and I'm going to do what you tell me to do. I'm going to say what you tell me to say. What a wonderful thing to get to the end of our lives and be able to say, Father, it's finished. I've done what you want me to do. And wow, what a completeness there is about that. How different it would be to get to the end of your life and say, Father, I was able to get me a Rolex. Or, oh, Father, my house had 3.5 baths. What a difference to be able to say, I did what you asked me to do, and my life is complete because of it. There is a sense of finishing up. Here's the invitation and the call of what I think Jesus said. It is the invitation to now open yourself to the possibility that God is showing you little by little, day after day, event after event, word after word. He is showing you the direction of your life, where you can kind of find the terrific meaning and purpose, the sense of significance that you've always been looking for? What is it that you do? What is it that you long for? Let God transform that so that you are transformed into being God's kind of person in the world, in the same way that Jesus said it is finished. You have an opportunity, a great, great opportunity, to say the same thing about your own life. Come and follow Jesus. Come put your faith in Him, that He's going to lead you, that He's going to guide you, that He's going to give you the right words to say at the right time, and that He's going to help you with a vision of the right people to help at the right time. There is a sense in all of us where we want life to be like that. I think that's true. And my invitation is to you, come and follow Jesus. It will only be a couple of Sundays until this victorious Sunday of resurrection. But in these words of Jesus, I think the victory has already begun.